Today, why not speak about trains and traveling by trains in Europe? Does train travel bring in that value for money?
Of course, when we think about traveling and getting into Europe, specifically from an Indian perspective, it's more about experiences, obviously, and exactly value for money.
What makes the Swiss pass so special?
Of course, it makes special, but what is more special is that the entire public transport is included, so you can always take every bus, and the public transport system in Switzerland is quite different, so in a very positive way, that you can reach really every corner in every valley by public transport. And if it's not a train, it's a very modern and comfortable bus at the end, and you can take the boats even.
I've been on the Glacier Express. I've spent 8 hours on that train. It's equally beautiful throughout the year. Probably winter is more beautiful, I would say. You're seeing this beautiful snow-capped mountains all along you, snowfall everywhere. It's really quite stunning. Do you have a message for all those Indian tourists who are looking to travel to Europe?
There are more cities and places to discover, so think beyond the usual discussed cities and countries, and you will discover the beauty of Europe also in other parts of this lovely continent.
Welcome to Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life. I think all of us are Bollywood buffs, and one of the movies that was so successful in Indian cinema has been Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. It ran successfully for over 30 years, and you know why? I think along with the main actors, Shah Rukh and Kajol, the central supporting cast was none other than the train journey. Yes, the trains, and that too, the trains in Europe. And I think with such a stellar cast, the movie was bound to do well because the plot was all about traveling by train. So we thought today, why not speak about trains and traveling by trains in Europe? And to speak about this at the Veena World studio, we have a very special guest. We are so excited to welcome Björn Bender, the CEO of Rail Europe. Björn, welcome to Travel, Explore, Celebrate Live, and welcome to Veena World.
What a nice introduction. Thanks for having me. Very happy to be here.
Björn, we've met earlier, and in fact, we met on a train as well.
That's
in
true.
London at
True.
WTM, and we bumped into you on the train. So I think trains are really connecting people in a way, aren't they?
That's absolutely right, and I guess the best stories trains are actually writing, because exactly as you said, you meet maybe people you did not expect, but of course you also make so many other very nice experiences, and specifically in Europe, and we will talk about this a bit later.
Yes, I'm so excited to talk about it because I think traveling by train is still a little romantic. You're not in a rush, you're taking your time, you're enjoying the journey, and there's just so much to do right there and then also. Beyond Rail Europe, if I'm right, covers something like 33 countries and 25,000 destinations. That's amazing. I'm just thinking, have you been to all of these countries and all of these destinations?
Yeah, probably not. Definitely not in Europe to all of those 25,000. But yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, we are covering entire Europe. We try to get everything what is rail related in Europe into one platform, so you can book everything with us through those 33 countries. Actually, we sell passes, we sell point-to-points, we sell groups, we sell everything. And yes, this is maybe, we always say it's a patchwork of national railway systems we bring into one platform, and we are a kind of a harmonizer or a translator to get it sold in the most convenient way to all our partners across the globe.
So for all our listeners, Rail Europe is the platform to go to and buy your train passes through different travel companies, such as Veena World, where if you plan to go to Europe and you want to visit all these different countries, then you need tickets. You need train tickets to travel. And I think traveling by train is one of the best ways to do it. Björn, I think when I think of it, Rail Europe, in a way, kind of brings Europe together, I would say. Isn't it true? I think for me, it turns all of Europe into this one country because once you're on a train, everything is so seamless and it's amazing. But by the way, how many countries have you been to?
Matthias, oh my God, that's an interesting question actually, because I did count in the past when I was backpacking, because I backpacked probably 3 years in my life, and I stopped counting with 104 countries I visited.
Wow!
Probably today maybe 3, 4, 5 more. So yes, definitely above 100. But it's not the number, of countries which matters for me. It's more the relationships you build. It's more the experiences you do, and the cultural things you see. And I guess specifically in our job we do today, you said we bring Europe together, but actually we bring the world to Europe. Yeah. And it's both today. And this is what I definitely benefit a lot. Yeah, that I also personally, I'm very interested in different places, different cultures, and of course meeting people. And yes, selling in a way, but also explaining and educating what is so nice about Europe and what is so convenient about rail traveling, because it's quite different compared to other places in the world.
Right, and you are a German who lives in Switzerland and works in Paris. So in that sense, you are already combining Europe.
Exactly.
Right?
That's usually my personal pitch. So you only need to add that I have a Swedish name, and then I always say yes. I'm a Swedish. I'm a German with a Swedish name, living in Switzerland and working in Paris. I'm a European ambassador, and when it comes to being an ambassador, it's really sharing experiences, what you can discover in Europe. And yes, I would see myself as a European. You're absolutely right.
Björn, I'm sure you've been to India before. You know the Indian mindset, and one of the most important points in the Indian mindset is value for money. And I really want to start off by asking you: does train travel bring in that value for money for people?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, you said before, trains are still romantic, and of course, train traveling can be romantic. Absolutely, yes, but it can be also so much different. It can be fast and high speed and bringing you just from A to B. But of course, when we think about traveling and getting into Europe, specifically from an Indian perspective, it's more about experiences, obviously, and exactly value for money. And you can get, I would say, everything in Europe. You can get for 10 euros from Madrid to Barcelona, because we have now 4 different high-speed providers competing against each other. In Spain, for instance, you have more or less the same circumstances in Italy. But you have also super luxury travel, where you decide for business class and first class and luggage support and everything else. So you have everything. But value for money means, for me, when you compare it to other means of transport, so talking about individual transport, maybe renting a car, including a chauffeur, going with air travel and so on, it's definitely good value for money, specifically when you think about passes.
Right, because when I was checking the price of a pass, and we'll talk about the passes, but just to give everyone an idea, a 4-day pass is actually less than a price of renting a chauffeur-driven car for one single day in Europe. So I think that already brings in a lot of value out there. But when we talk of passes, there are many different types of passes, right? When you talk of Rail Europe, can you actually just cover all these 33 countries in one pass?
No, and this is also not the goal to do this.
Yeah,
but of course, it's about flexibility.
Right.
Yeah, because the biggest hassle and the biggest hurdle for specifically international travelers coming to Europe, of course, is still that all those different railway systems work differently. So it means you have different tariffs, you have different rules, you have different languages. Right. You need to know different ways to board or so onboard and offboard trains, stations, whatever. So, and this is, you need someone who is really contributing everything into one platform. And when we talk about passes, it's a good example, because you can take a Euro pass, and you said it before, 33 countries, impressive. But you also can take a one country pass, for instance, or you can buy a Swiss travel pass, or you can buy an Italy pass. So there are so many different opportunities. And for us, the main goal is to bring convenience, to bring flexibility, and that you do not need to care about anymore where I want to go, because it's a flat rate pass, and you can travel as much as you want. And this is the beauty of train travel in Europe, that for most of the trains you do not even need reservations. So you can just hop on a high-speed train in Germany, in Austria, and Switzerland, and get from A to B. And this is what means, for me at least, individual flexibility and even freedom.
Yeah, I think the freedom and the flexibility it brings is simply amazing. So, for those who want a very different holiday, want to get up in the morning and decide where they want to go, they can actually do that as well, right? They can just get up and decide that I want to go and visit this place today. Let me do it,
Absolutely.
and they can do that.
Absolutely.
But I would say for a family who's traveling or for others who have limited time, it's always better to have an itinerary chalked out, make your plans, decide what you want to do, and then a tour operator or travel agent can help you select the exact pass which is right for you. Because there are so many different passes. You can choose a pass that lets you travel consecutively for all the days. You can choose a pass that gives you non-consecutive days travel. So you can choose the days that you want to go on. But Björn, I'll go back to something you mentioned, and you mentioned about having 4 different providers in Spain. How many providers are there in the whole Rail Europe network? Because I think Rail Europe will complete 100 years soon, right? So it's an amazing organization. Tell us a little bit about that.
Exactly. We have. Let's say we always say we have a legacy in a positive way, because we are almost 100 years old. So really founded in the 30s of the last century. And we belonged for a very long time to the French and the Swiss railways as a subsidiary. And we got independent now 3 years back. So we are PE backed today. It means for us, we are completely neutral. We are agnostic to more than 230 train providers we are selling. So imagine 230 different carriers in Europe. And of course, it means for us that we find always the right product, the right solution based on the needs of the customers. Yeah, and this is exactly where you need experience, specifically when it comes also to after sales. Yeah, we covered a bit also the hurdles you have with languages and tariffs and so on. So, and you need to have comparison functionalities when it gets into competition. I always say this example, when you now probably fly from India to any neighboring country, probably you do not choose any specific airline. You go to a broker and you see what is most convenient for me in terms of timing, in price, maybe in a class you want to choose. And this is exactly where the railway industry is heading to. So we are 10, 15, 20 years behind aviation, but it really is happening exactly the same now in Europe as in aviation maybe 15 years back. So everything is getting into liberalization, competition, you have different offers, and you need someone who compares it for you. Otherwise, you cannot find the right solution for you, for your family. Family, you just mentioned before. I mean, only the fact that children traveling for free on a pass is such a positive thing, what you would never have, of course, if you're traveling by a flight. So there are so many different things you need to consider to take a travel decision at the end.
And Björn, you mentioned sometimes it's unimaginable that yes, you can travel by train for free, especially if you're under 16 and you're traveling with an adult. You can have children traveling free, which is just unthinkable and so wonderful, And you mentioned aviation, so I'm going to go back to that, because very often when a tourist is traveling in Europe and we are planning the itinerary and you want to travel from one country to the other, one of the questions always that comes to anyone's mind, the person who's traveling, the person who's planning the itinerary, is, should I add a train or should I add a flight, right? So where do trains and planes stand for you? How would you compare them?
I mean, I'm not a train pope, and of course, I'm not. I did not arrive by a train in India.
Yeah, so long distance is different, but
yes,
short
of course. And I fly, and I also use individual transport and so on. But the circumstances in Europe change completely. I always say, when I started my career 20 years back in mobility, I started actually with an airline back in the days before I joined a railway carrier, the German railways at this point. And when I switched actually in the industry from the aviation part to the rail part, everyone was saying to me, "Oh my God, you are a poor guy. Now you work for the boring trains, not for the sexy carriers, air carriers anymore," and so on. And this was back in 2007. So we are talking about now, what is it, 18 years? 18 years back. Today, the entire world changed because, of course, now we created as an industry, as a society, actually a new narrative around trains, specifically in Europe. Of course, we all know for a very long time that it's most sustainable. But now we are talking about convenience, and we're talking about really geopolitical and political decisions taken in Europe, that you ban domestic flights, that you really, really push people into sustainable ways of traveling and so on. And now we are on the good side of mobility, and we see, of course,
You're sexy again, right?
we are sexy again. Exactly. We worked for a long time, and of course, this is changing a lot how people perceive us and perceive rails. And yes, the railway system in Europe is still quite different to other parts of the world. So it's also, and this is why we are here in India, talking to you, talking to our teams, to our partners. It's a lot about education. That,
right.
Of course, you can experience rail travel in a different way, as you could maybe experience it in the past or even in other countries in the world still today. So yes, it's changing a lot. And the investments are there. Maybe let me quickly highlight this as well, because there's a European Green Deal to get, let's say, the European Union carbon-free the next 10, 15, 20 years. And only the European Union decided to invest more than 100 billion euros up to 2030. So we're talking about the next 5 years into infrastructure, rolling stock, and let's say digital services. And in addition, you have other countries, you have other railway carriers investing also billion of euros. So there were never, ever before more investments in this part of the mobility industry. And of course, it helps a lot when we talk about the shift from one mean to the other, and to make it at the end more convenient, but also obviously more sustainable.
Yeah, you're right. And, when I think of it, for me, train travel in Europe just makes sense because, the long distance is a different thing. To get from India to Europe, you would use the flight. But once you are in Europe, it's so easy to travel and cross different countries with train that I wouldn't think of anything else.
Yeah.
Like, when I traveled with my daughter and we were in France and we went from Paris to Nice and then we went to Toulouse. And it was just so easy because the train stations are right in the heart of the city. You don't have to spend 1 hour going away to the airport. No waiting time at the airport, like add another 2 hours. And I think ultimately the time kind of works out to be the same. And you're just so much more comfortable in a train. You can walk around. And you mentioned sustainability, Gen Z, I think that is the buzzword for them. And they really would, opt for something that is more sustainable in a way. But Björn, I remember with my daughter, I think the highlight for her was really the food in the train. Eating and having ham and cheese sandwiches in Paris was probably like, she would probably just go back to the train just to have the food all over again. And we both really enjoyed that. Is there any memory you have of traveling in the train that really has stayed with you?
My God, I have so many memories, obviously. But maybe let me highlight one, two, three of those experiences, because I said in the beginning, I live in Switzerland, I work in Paris. So it means a weekly commute by train. And I always call it my rolling office. Because exactly as you say, when you travel, let's say in a silent space, you have on-seat service, you can enjoy a coffee, you can even enjoy a cheese and ham sandwich.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And those are weekly good memories for me, because I know that I invest my 4 or 5 hours from Switzerland to Paris in the right way, because I'm productive, I'm relaxed, and I am really, I really arrive in the city center of Paris. Let's give you another example. There are just 2 new connections which were introduced in December, which are really, really, I would say, impactful actually for leisure and also for your audience. This is a day train between Munich and Amsterdam. So connecting now Munich, Amsterdam on a day train, high speed, and Paris to Berlin. And I just took the train from Berlin to Paris, so the other way around, and it takes 8 hours. And maybe most of the people are, oh my God, 8 hours in a train, But if you think about exactly what you just said, to get in Berlin to the airport, what is not in the city center anymore, you need to go far east in the city. Then you arrive in Charles de Gaulle, what is also not in the city center. And also the Paris traffic is sometimes quite comparable to the Indian traffic. So you need another 1.5 hours to get to the Parisian city center. So then maybe the entire journey by flight would take, 6 hours door to door. And in a train, it takes you, 2 hours more, but you can have a sandwich, you can enjoy, relax, having family time, work, read, whatever you want to do. So, there are so many things. Thinking about scenic trains. Yeah, so of course we have lots of friends visiting us in Switzerland, and I usually go with them. Actually, not the super well-known trains, because you have also beyond so many lovely spots to explore in Switzerland. I usually go from Bern to Montreux. Yeah, passing the Lavaux region across
through the vineyards.
Along exactly through the vineyards, along Lake Geneva. Yeah, and this is a regional train. Yeah, and it's, of course, it brings you from A to B, but it's an experience at the end. So this is also a very good memory. So I could continue with 3 more, but you see the differences. Yeah, having just a cross-border train from Switzerland to Paris, which takes 3 hours. You can cross now Europe 8 hours from Berlin to Paris. You can also take a mountain peak, a scenery train in Switzerland, just to see the beautiful landscape. So many different things to explore. Huh?
And you mentioned 8 hours, and I've seen that you can actually even be overnight in a train, right? Like many people sometimes prefer doing that because it also helps them save on the hotel room. You don't need to go and spend on a hotel room. You could be traveling, use that time to travel. Have you done that? Have you done an overnight train? And
absolutely, yes. I worked for 3 years actually in Vienna back in the days, and my head office, because I worked at this time for the German railways, was in Frankfurt, and I was commuting almost on a weekly basis in a night train between Frankfurt and Paris. So yes, I took this train probably, I don't know, up to 100 times back in the days. And then there was a time where no one was talking anymore about night trains. And now we call it the renaissance of night trains. Because, of course, now, what I said before, all the investments, all the sustainability factors and so on, you see again the benefits of night travel. Exactly, you save one hotel night. You are traveling very sustainably,
especially when you're short on time, because when you're traveling in Europe and you want to see and do everything, and there's so much to see, so much to do, you want to save your time there.
Absolutely. And I must highlight that ÖBB, the Austrian Railways, really did a very good job the last, let's say, 10 years, because they invested a lot first. Second, they are now introducing every 6 months new routes across Europe. So you can now discover from Austria to Switzerland, Germany, France, Czech Republic, up to Copenhagen in Denmark. So many different routings by night trains, down to Italy as well. So yes, definitely a very good tip to discover. Yeah, specifically for international travelers, because I love also to do it with my family. Because specifically for children, it's really an experience. And I guess you're a bit used to it because of Indian night trains. But waking up in a train, having a coffee and seeing the scenery, it's just impressive. Huh?
That's right, Björn. I was speaking to many people, and when I suggest trains to them, that why don't you travel by train in Europe? I think 2 points come up, which kind of people are a little worried about. The first is luggage, that we are a spoilt lot. Indians as a whole we have a lot of people doing things for us, so it's really easy in India. But when you're traveling abroad, you have to handle your own luggage, you have to do a lot of things on your own. So the first thing is the luggage, that how will I manage the luggage when I'm traveling on board? And the second is very often when you want to get to a place that you want to, the trains are connecting. You have to get off and then get on to the next train. How easy is it to do both of these?
Yeah. So let me highlight 2 things. So first, maybe let's talk 20 seconds about Switzerland in particular, because
it's mostly out there. Yeah,
exactly. There are super luggage services already in place. So you can really travel across Switzerland, and you can really send your luggage. So this is really, you have to do more or less nothing, because it's getting shipped from one hotel to the next one. So it's really comfortable. This is also why...
So you can actually send your luggage and then travel hands-free, right?
Hands-free, absolutely, with all your family and only maybe your handbag, and that's it. Huh? And specifically in Switzerland, for international travelers, this is a high-demand product. And this works very, very well, and we sell it for a couple of years now. Beyond we are now introducing more and more luggage services. Yeah, you know that's always a custom topic sometimes. Yeah, specifically between Switzerland and the rest of Europe, UK, the rest of Europe, and so on. But there are solutions now, and we are introducing more and more now in 2025. So this is really one big thing coming up, and hopefully will bring more groups even from coaches into trains, definitely. And changing trains actually is quite easy in Europe. Of course, you have some cities where it's a bit more challenging. Taking Paris as an example, because you have 4, 5, 6 different long-haul train stations in Paris, and sometimes you need to connect from one to the other. But then you have a good guidance, I would say. In most of the other cities, the train is just running the platform next to it. Yeah, Switzerland, Austria, Germany. Yeah, maybe you need to go 20 meters, and then you can catch the next train. So sometimes it sounds more difficult than it is in reality. But we can provide a service to, of course, let all our customers know how to do it, how to change, what are translations even. Yeah, we give them translations that they do know what is written in Italian, what is written in Spanish, what is written in German, what does it mean in English for me. Yeah? So we really try to prepare together with you actually the customers in the best way we can prepare them for also having the entire train experience, in the best way it should be. Yeah? But maybe let me add one more thing, because multinational travel, and this is, I guess, what most Indians still do, even if Switzerland is definitely a very, very high demanded product, but usually they see 2, 3, 4 different countries. And the beauty now in our technology is, because actually we are a travel tech company and we are investing a lot into this technology, is that you combine in the search function also international travel. So giving you an example, it's not only, let's say, Zurich to Paris, it is Zurich to Copenhagen, where you start in the Swiss railways, you cross Germany, and you end up in Denmark. But you have it in one booking process, you have it in one payment process, and you have, at the end, one checkout process for the customer, that you have the tickets. Yeah, and this is quite new. And it's really based on high investments into our travel tech at the end.
Oh, that's amazing, because it just really makes it easy. And I don't think anywhere else in the world it is this easy to cross countries and book everything together and have all your tickets ready. I remember the time, Björn, that earlier we used to have physical tickets and we had to keep stock. And I think at our office, we treated it more important than gold. It was safely kept in a locker. But today, of course, like you said, Rail Europe is high into technology, and there are URail passes and other passes. Everything's digital now, so it just makes it so much more easier. But speaking of luggage, I just want to add that, even if you don't send the luggage from one place to other, it's not really that difficult to actually take it. I was also worried about it, because when I was traveling, it's okay when you're traveling alone, but when you're with family, you wonder with the children, how will I do it? But honestly, you do have sufficient time to be able to load the luggage on, and the luggage racks are at the two ends of the compartment or in between the seats. So it's quite simple like that.
Thanks for mentioning this. I was so much in sending the luggage already, but exactly as you said, specifically the high-speed trains and also the new regional trains, they have enough space. So TGV trains, ICE trains, all the trains in Italy and Spain as well. You do have. First of all, you have enough space. Second, you have also the security that you see your luggage during. So it's not that you need to really
no
be
missed luggage when you land, right?
Exactly.
Unlike a plane.
No, absolutely
right?
yes.
So,
absolutely yes.
Yeah. I was reading on this, Björn, and I found that apparently, like people who fly, the maximum anxiety they have is when they're waiting for the luggage to arrive. And we saw this even last week when I was in Hyderabad, and there was something wrong with the baggage belt, and it took 40 minutes to just resolve the issue to bring the luggage out. I mean, if you're traveling by train, you would be in your hotel by then probably, right?
It's true.
Because you are coming into the city center, you have your luggage right there. So it's really not that difficult to take that luggage and go. You mentioned the Swiss pass, and I just want to go back there, because I think when you're going to Switzerland, it's really one of the best things to have on your hand. It does give you a lot of free things along with that also. So What makes the Swiss pass so special?
Of course, it makes special that, first of all trains in Switzerland are included. But this is maybe nothing special anymore. But what is more special is that the entire public transport is included. So you can always take every bus. And the public transport system in Switzerland is quite different. So in a very positive way, that you can reach really every corner in every valley by public transport. And if it's not a train, it's a very modern and comfortable bus at the end. And you can take the boats even and some cable cars. So
everything on one ticket.
Everything on one ticket, everything included. You can decide second class, first class. You get even reductions beyond if you want to go to, I don't know, to Gornergrad in Zermatt and other cable cars which are not fully included, exactly as you say. Yeah, so
like some are actually free. Like some of the entries are free, the museums are free.
Exactly.
And the others, very popular ones, are at 50%. So
exactly.
It's a lot of saving for the family, right?
Absolutely.
And like you mentioned, kids below 16 go free with a parent.
Absolutely,
Amazing.
yes. Absolutely, yes. Yeah. And of course, I mean, we all know Glacier Express. We all know Bernina Express. There are so many very well-known, mountain peak scenery trains available.
I mean,
but beyond, there's so many trains to discover. Right. And if you have a Swiss travel pass, it doesn't matter if you really travel on a Glacier Express, which is a beautiful experience. But you can also travel on other trains which are not that frequented.
Right, like some of them may take a reservation fee, but that's quite minimal when you think of it. I've been on the Glacier Express. I've spent 8 hours on that train, and it was just magical. And I think beyond what makes us even special is that it's equally beautiful throughout the year. Probably winter is more beautiful, I would say, because you don't have to worry about snow chains on cars and stuff. You're in the train and you're seeing this beautiful snow-capped mountains all along you, snowfall everywhere. It's really quite stunning. But something on my wish list is the Bernina Express. So hopefully the next time I get to Europe, I will be on the Bernina Express very
soon. Absolutely. And it's perfectly reachable also from Italy at the end because it starts in Tirano.
Right.
Yeah, if you want to do the full journey, so very, very interesting.
So combining Switzerland and Italy
Absolutely possible. Let me add quickly on the numbers, because what you say is exactly what we see specifically out of India. Of course, the high season is between, let's say, March and June, and we do still 70% of our business in those 4 months. But beyond, we see more demand for the shoulder season. And actually now all year long in Switzerland, but also for entire Europe. And if I can give recommendations, personal ones, I would definitely go in the shoulder season or even in the off season. Yeah, because it's such an authentic experience to discover also Switzerland, I don't know, in October, November, where it's not super busy and you can be very lucky with sunshine and so on also in this period. So this is what we definitely see. And also how maybe travel behavior is a bit changing, specifically for people who are not directly impacted by school holidays. Yeah, they have a bit more freedom and they can definitely travel outside of usual European summer times.
Right. Björn, we've been speaking about all these trains. I just want to go back to one of the most popular routes, which is also a part of the Veena World itinerary. And I had an amazing experience on this train, and this was about 22 or 23 years back. Or maybe more, maybe around 25 years back, actually. Yeah, it was exactly 99-2000. And I was crossing from London to Paris. And, you said that in the trains, in a way, it brings people together as well. And I remember at that point, 25 years back, I had some loose change with me. I somehow didn't have a credit card, and I was so hungry. And the person sitting next to me, my neighbor on the train, actually brought me food. Like, it was funny because I didn't have the exact change. So I came back and he realized I was hungry and he said, he was French and he said, let's go eat. And I said, no, I can't take it from a stranger. He said, come on, no one's a stranger on the train. So for me, it's one of my most endearing and happy memories. And the Eurostar is so popular in India that it is practically on the itinerary of everyone who's traveling from London to Paris.
Yeah.
What makes this train so special?
I mean, first of all, of course, that it's going through a tunnel. Huh?
Yeah,
this is of course very special.
So you're under the sea and you're
absolutely,
traveling, and 38 kilometers or something.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Imagine the billions of investments, and it was opened mid of the 90s. And I always bring up this example because, now we are travel, of course, much more than 30 years back, mid of the 90s. But mid of the 90s, there were more than 100 daily flights between London and Paris. Huh? This was an amazing number 30 years back. Huh? Yeah. Now we are, I guess, still approximately 50 flights, but it's half of it was 30 years back.
Right.
And if we would not have Eurostar and the tunnel for rail, of course, it would be today probably 150 or 200 flights. So you see that smart investments, specifically in infrastructure, definitely impact the way we travel first. So this is very good example. Then Eurostar, of course, very, very good product in terms of exactly as you said, different classes, different services, right? High speed. Yeah, you can now have really full flexibility with your tickets. They just introduced this in December, so it's a very convenient product. And of course, going from St. Pancras to Gare du Nord in Paris is a city center to city center experience in 2 hours and 20 minutes, something like this. Huh?
Something like
so
that.
Impressive, huh? Impressive.
And to Brussels, also you
Same.
have the Eurostar, right?
To Brussels, to Amsterdam, actually. Yeah, you can go beyond to Cologne, into Germany. Yeah, you have all those previous Thalys trains now integrated into the Eurostar company and into the Eurostar network.
Yeah, and when you think of it, like European trains are known to be high speed, they're known to be fast and efficient, and 320 kilometers an hour. It made me think that if we had the Eurostar in India, we would probably do Mumbai-Pune in half an hour and reach what is today taking like 2 hours, which is still not so bad by road. But with the train, we could have reached Pune in half an hour, lived in one city and worked in the other, right? So yeah, the Eurostar is really quite special. Many people don't know, I guess, that it does go to Belgium as well, and it does go to Amsterdam as well.
Yeah.
And with the tulip season coming up, I think it would be a great idea to book your train tickets and combine London and Amsterdam.
Absolutely,
together.
and you can book it in advance now, and even far in advance. So maybe let me highlight this quickly, because the booking horizons, specifically, of course, when you have your visa, are very important. That you do not book only 1, 2, 3 weeks in advance. That you get the full flexibility. You can book months in advance with Eurostar, also with other carriers. You can plan your itinerary, and you can even save money. Because if you book in advance, it's more or less like in aviation. Of course, you save money. You can pick your seats, on a seat map. So it's very, very comfortable, and the demand is there. To give you a feel, last year, so 2024, was 23% for us above 2020. 2024 was above 2023. Oh my God, we are already in 25. Huh? So we are talking about more than 20% growth, and we are more than 30% above pre-pandemic level. So you see, yes, the numbers out of India in terms of travel, I guess, are more or less now on the level of 2019. So really good to see that India is strongly back. On the other side, the demand for train is already 30% above 2019. Yeah, so you can see also that the way people think, how they travel in Europe is changing. And of course, we try to do our best with our local teams here in India. This is why I'm here, to be close with the industry, to support this more and more, and to educate, specifically also the travel trade.
Björn, I think you've convinced us completely to opt for trains when traveling in Europe. We've been speaking for quite some time, and I've really enjoyed this. As a closing note, do you have a message for all those Indian tourists who are looking to travel to Europe this season?
I would say, as I love India, I hope that many Indians love Europe, first of all. And when they think about Europe, that rail travel is in their minds. And for first-timers, yes, think about how you can really travel by rail from A to B. And for all the more mature people, there are more cities and places to discover. So think beyond the usual discussed cities and countries, and you will discover the beauty of Europe also in other parts of this lovely continent.
Sure. Thank you, Björn. And there you have it. That was traveling by train on Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life. So whether you're on honeymoon and looking for something extra special, there are luxury trains to choose from. There are luxury services and excellence classes, premier classes, first class that you can travel on. If you're going with family, I think we've already convinced you kids can travel free on certain routes. So that itself is a good starting point. And otherwise, if you want to cover all of Europe, you want to cover one country in detail, you want to do more than 2 countries, sustain and be sustainable at the same time, then train travel is definitely something you should be looking at. Björn, thank you so much. We've had a great time here speaking with you, and we wish you all the best, and we wish Rail Europe all the best.
Looking forward. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.